Her breath was warm against my neck, slow, deep, measured, as if she was tasting my pulse. I didn't dare move. Not because I was restrained, but because the weight of her body, the way her smooth blue skin grazed mine, made every nerve in me light up like a solar flare. She was enormous, easily 10 feet tall, sculpted like a goddess from a dream that had no right to exist. One hand cradled the side of my jaw, her fingers long, soft, and unnervingly gentle. Her other hand rested on my chest, feeling the way my heart slammed against my ribs. Her face hovered just inches above mine, her eyes glowing like twin violet moons. She didn't speak, not yet. But the look in her eyes said everything. You belong to me now, and I don't know what that means either. I tried to breathe, but my lungs refused to cooperate. The ceiling above me shimmered with cool blue light panels, casting a sterile glow across a room that looked like something out of a deep space medical lab. The sheets beneath me were crisp, clinical, the kind used for bioquarantine. A faint humming noise buzzed from the walls, the low purr of some kind of life support system. She didn't blink. Her eyes were locked on mine, filled with questions and something deeper I couldn't read. Her knee was planted between my thighs, and her hips straddled mine like I was a subject pinned under a microscope. I opened my mouth to speak, but no sound came out. Her lips moved first. A whisper, melodic, foreign, electric, Archai Shivan, El Torah. I swallowed hard. What does that mean? She tilted her head slightly. Her hair, black with a midnight blue sheen, cascaded like water around her shoulders. The alien woman scanned a device on her wrist, an armband with blinking lights pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. She tapped it once. It beeped. Then she spoke again, this time in broken, careful English. You, not sick. Good. Your pulse, too fast. Because of fear. I blinked up at her. Yeah, well, imagine waking up with a blue giant on top of you. Her lips curved slightly. Not quite a smile. Something more dangerous. Curious. I wake you. You scream. My superiors would take you. Cut. Analyze. She glanced at the door, then back at me. I stopped that. My pulse spiked again. Her hand pressed against my chest, following the rhythm. Still too fast, she murmured. What are you? I whispered. She seemed to hesitate. Then she leaned closer, and her voice was a low breath against my lips. Your protector, if you let me be. I couldn't think. My body felt like it was betraying me, warm where it shouldn't be, alert in places that had no business reacting right now. But the longer I looked into her eyes, the more I felt safe. Hypnotized. I remember. A crash, I muttered, trying to piece it together. My ship. It was hauling mineral cores near the asteroid belt. Then, nothing. I blacked out. Yes, she said. Your vessel breached. No survivors. Except you. She paused. You are rare. Human heartbeat is unique. Like a song. Very few carry harmonic frequency. Her fingers glided down, stopping at my side. I flinched, but it wasn't pain I felt. It was heat. She was warm. So much warmer than I expected. Harmonic. What? Your heart sings. Her eyes scanned mine. To us, your kind is music. Some want to keep your sound. Forever. My mouth went dry. Keep. What does that mean? The door behind her beeped. She spun her head, glaring toward the source of the noise. Her hair shifted with her, brushing across my shoulder. Listen, she hissed. I cannot explain now. But you are in danger. Others on this vessel, they see you as a resource, not a person. The device on her wrist chirped again. This time, a soft red glow pulsed from it. They come. My people, she said. They request specimen transfer. I disobeyed. They do not. No, I began bonding. Bonding. I echoed. She turned back to me, and for the first time, her voice softened. It is what we do, to preserve what we love. It begins with a shared heartbeat. And then, without asking, she lowered herself, her chest barely brushing mine until our hearts were almost aligned. She pressed her ear to my chest. The door unlocked with a hiss. I tried to move, but her hand stopped me. Do not speak, she whispered. Let your body answer. Footsteps. I could hear them. Heavy boots, closing fast. Why are they after me? I asked, breathlessly. Because, she said, her voice shaking for the first time, your frequency is pure. And purity can be weaponized. Or worshipped. Her lips hovered near mine. The scent of her skin was strange, like ozone and lavender and something ancient. Then the door slammed open. Bright white light flooded the room. Figures stood silhouetted in the doorway, tall, armored, faceless. She turned to face them, shielding me with her body. One of the guards raised a hand and shouted something in her language. She didn't budge. He is under my care, she said. I invoked the old right. Another guard stepped forward. Your right means nothing, the voice barked. The extraction is scheduled. She looked down at me. Her eyes, those impossibly vivid eyes, were full of something I couldn't quite name. Desperation? Desire? Both. I will not let them take your song, she whispered. I don't care what it costs me. I sat up slowly, ignoring the trembling in my legs. Then what do we do? She turned, gave one small nod. Now, she said, we run. And just before we moved, before the guard stormed forward, she leaned in and touched her forehead to mine. Forgive me, she breathed. Bonding starts, with a heartbeat. The guards shouted. The alarms screamed. And then the world shattered in a flood of violet light. We ran. Her hand gripped mine like a vice as she pulled me through the shattering corridor. Violet light pulsed behind us, alarms shrieked in 3 different languages. My feet skidded over slick steel, bare except for the thin hospital trousers I'd woken in. Behind us, the guards shouted orders, their boots hammering in sync like war drums. She didn't look back. Not once. Her strides were massive, fluid, powerful, my legs burned trying to keep pace, but I couldn't let go. Her skin sparked with bioluminescence under the emergency lighting. Every few steps, she glanced at her wristband, muttering calculations in her language. I didn't need a translator to know what they meant. Time is running out. She dragged me into a narrow corridor and slammed a hand against the wall panel. The steel groaned and split open, revealing a narrow shaft lit only by blinking red strips. In, she hissed. I didn't ask questions. I crawled into the darkness, feeling warm hands guide me forward until we were both crouched in the passage, shoulder to hip. The door sealed behind us with a click that sounded far too final. We sat there in silence, panting. I turned to her in the dim light. Where are we going? She placed 2 fingers gently against my lips. Quiet, she whispered, breathless. They hear through the vents. We sat like that for a minute, our bodies pressed together in the tight space. I could feel the tremble in her muscles. Not fear, something else. Something electric. I risked everything, she murmured, voice low and near my ear. I declared a false right. Lied to command. They will hunt me now as much as you. I turned my head. Our faces were only inches apart. Why would you do that? She didn't blink. Because your heart sang when it saw me. That's not a reason, I whispered. That's insanity. Her eyes glinted, even in the dark. Then I choose insanity, if it means you live. We moved again. Crawling through ducts, ducking thermal scans, bypassing motion fields with the grace of 2 lovers running from the universe itself. Every time we stopped, she checked my pulse, as if measuring something far more than just heartbeats. Eventually, we emerged into a chamber unlike any other. The walls glowed with floating symbols, and the air was heavy with something that smelled like starlight and flowers I'd never known. A crystalline table stood in the center, surrounded by a halo of light. This is a resonance chamber, she said, helping me to my feet. We'll be safe here. For a moment. I looked around. Where are we? She walked slowly toward the table and placed a hand on its surface. The air shimmered as light gathered beneath her palm. My people use this to attune with each other. For bonding. For healing. For truth. The words hung in the air. She turned, her voice softer now. I want to show you what I am. Not in words. Not with lies. But, like this. She reached out her hand. I hesitated. Is this safe? No, she said. But it is, real. I stepped forward, placing my hand in hers. A rush of sensation blasted through me, memories that weren't mine, scents, colors, tastes. I saw her childhood running barefoot on a crystal beach under 3 suns. I felt her first heartbreak, her training, the day she watched a friend die in a failed bonding. I saw her watching over me in the med bay, sleepless, conflicted, mesmerized. My legs gave out. She caught me. You saw? She asked. I nodded, breathless. All of it. And now, she said, guiding my hand to her chest, just over her heart, I want to see you. I swallowed hard. It's not beautiful. Not like your memories. She smiled, really smiled this time. That's what makes it precious. So I let her in. She saw the wreckage of my life, earthquake memories of loss and grief, late nights alone with too many stars and not enough answers. She saw me cry in the cockpit after my brother died. She saw the way I buried myself in work. The silence that I carried. And then, she saw her through my eyes. The first time I woke to see her. The fear. The fascination. The strange heat that lingered after she touched me. The way her voice curled into my ears like smoke. When it ended, she was crying. Silent tears that shimmered down her skin like liquid sapphire. I did not know humans felt so deeply. You haven't even seen the worst of it, I muttered, embarrassed. I saw enough, she whispered. Enough to know that your heart is not a weapon. It is a wonder. We sat together beside the resonance table. The ship still vibrated around us, like a storm waiting outside the door. She leaned her head against my shoulder. You're not just rare. You're dangerous. I tensed. To who? To anyone who doesn't understand what love feels like. I looked at her. What about you? Do you? She turned to me. I'm starting to. Our lips met then, tentative at first, like we were afraid to break the fragile moment we'd built. But then it deepened, slowly, desperately. Her fingers cradled my face, mine wrapped into her hair. The kiss wasn't just passion, it was everything we couldn't say. A promise. A question. A plea to not let the world intrude again. When we broke apart, I felt dizzy. I've never kissed a god before, I said. She laughed, a soft, breathy sound that melted something inside me. I'm not a god, she whispered. I'm just a woman, trying to save the man who changed my stars. The lights flickered. Her wrist device beeped again. A new alert, extraction imminent. Target vital. Override denied. She stared at it, expression darkening. They've found us, she said. They've overridden internal locks. We have minutes. I stood. Then we need a way out. She nodded. There's one path left. Maintenance conduit that leads to escape deck. But. It requires bypassing the ship's auto-stability system. If we do it wrong, we tear the entire section apart. I grabbed her hand. Let's tear it apart then. She smiled through the panic. You really are insane. Maybe I choose insanity, I said, echoing her words, if it means I get to live. We took one last look at each other. She kissed me again, fiercer this time, as if there might not be another chance. Then she pulled a concealed panel off the wall, revealing a narrow, spiraling passage. We ducked in, crawling fast. Behind us, the alarms changed tone. She glanced down at her wrist again and froze. What is it? I asked. Her face turned pale. She showed me the screen. Life bond incomplete, fatal instability in 18 hours. She looked at me. Our bond isn't finished. And if we don't complete it, one of us dies. Her words echoed in my skull like a detonation. If we don't complete it, one of us dies. We didn't stop crawling. The conduit walls pressed close on all sides, pulsing with heat from overloaded systems. My palms scraped over metal, her body moving ahead of me like liquid shadow. Even in the chaos, I couldn't stop staring at the lines of her back, how her muscles tensed and relaxed with perfect control. How she kept going, even while a countdown was ticking between us. 18 hours, I said, panting. How do we complete it? Through resonance, she said, glancing back at me. Fully. No barriers. You must give me the deepest part of yourself. That sounds terrifying. It is, she said softly. It's also the only thing that will save us. We emerged into a dim hangar tunnel. Rows of unused gravebikes lined the wall, hovering inches above the deck, waiting like ghosts. A low rumble vibrated through my spine, proximity alarms in the docking bay. The ship knew we were moving. It was adjusting. She helped me to my feet and sprinted toward the nearest bike, sliding onto its massive seat like she was born there. I scrambled behind her, arms wrapping instinctively around her waist. Her skin was hot through the thin alien fabric she wore, and I felt the tremor in her breath when my chest touched her back. She activated the controls. The bike roared to life. Then we flew. Corridors blurred into color, alarms streaking past like sirens in a storm. Lyra navigated like she felt the ship's veins. I held her tighter every time the gravebike dipped, twisted, or accelerated around blind turns. My face pressed to the side of her neck. Her scent, like ozone and orange blossoms, flooded my senses. We broke into the open hangar bay, where a dozen armed guards turned at once. Lyra didn't slow down. Shots rang out, streaks of white-hot plasma burned past our ears. She leaned the bike sharply left, dodging a hail of energy bolts, then flipped a switch on the dashboard. A spherical shield enveloped us just as one shot would have taken my head off. "Hold on," she shouted. The bike soared toward a steel ramp straight through a half-closing blast door. We skidded to a stop inside a narrow launch corridor, our shield flickering behind us like a dying heartbeat. I gasped. That was way too close. Lyra turned to me, eyes wild. "We don't have time to wait anymore." "For what?" "For the bond to accidentally complete." She slid off the bike and faced me, chest rising and falling like she couldn't catch her breath, not from exertion, but from something deeper. "We do it now. Here. Before this ship decides we're not worth saving." "I don't even know how," I whispered. "Yes, you do," she said, stepping closer. "You already started. When you let me see your memories. When you kissed me like your life was in it. When you ran." Her hand found mine, pulling it to her chest. Her heart raced under my palm. "You have to let go," she whispered. "You have to let me in completely." I searched her eyes, those impossible eyes. They weren't just beautiful. They were scared. So was I. But I nodded. She pressed her forehead to mine. The world went quiet. And then, we weren't in the corridor anymore. We were floating, weightless, infinite, surrounded by cascading echoes of thought, memory, feeling. I saw myself through her, weak, brave, flawed, burning. I saw how she'd watched over me from the moment I was rescued, saw her internal war between duty and desire. She hadn't meant to bond with me. But she couldn't stop herself. I let her in deeper. I gave her the thing I'd never shown anyone, not even myself. The moment I stood over my brother's body, unable to cry. The ache I buried under jokes, the loneliness I carried through every quiet night. My private symphony of silence. She didn't look away. She gave me her own darkness. The day she lost her chosen partner. The one she'd bonded with once, in training. A failed resonance that left them dead. The guilt. The vow she made never to try again. Until me. Our thoughts merged, tangled, trembled. I felt her hand on my face in both worlds at once. She whispered, "This is what completion feels like." Light burst between us. The corridor returned in a blink and something had changed. We were glowing. Our skin shimmered with matching silver-blue veins of light, pulsing like starlight. She stared at me, stunned. We did it. And then her wrist device beeped. Life bond complete. Stabilization successful. Compatibility, 97.6%. Before we could speak, the corridor lights exploded red. "They've launched a kill team," she said. "Of course they did," I muttered. Too happy for too long. She grabbed my hand. "Come on. There's one escape pod left on this deck." We sprinted together toward the blast doors as the floor vibrated with pounding boots behind us. Lyra activated the pod chamber. The hatch hissed open. We jumped in and slammed it shut just as the first guards rounded the corner. The pod launched. We were weightless again. Outside, the stars twisted. The blackness wrapped us in silence. For a long moment, we said nothing. Then I turned to her. What happens now? Her expression shifted, soft, then uncertain. The bond is strong, she said. But it's unfinished. I blinked. What? But I thought we completed it. We finished the frequency merge. But not the final memory. The one you haven't even admitted to yourself. I stared at her. She leaned closer. To finish it, you must surrender the one thing you fear losing. Before I could answer, the pod lurched violently. A red moon loomed in the viewport, glowing with impossible energy, its surface warping like a pool of blood and glass. What is that? I asked. She stared at it in horror. The forbidden moon, she whispered. It's pulling us in. Can you stop it? No, she said. Its gravity ignores engines. It only listens, to memory. The pod spiraled toward the surface. And as we descended, her fingers laced through mine. If you want us to survive, she said, voice trembling, you have to tell me the truth about what you left behind. Then the pod hit atmosphere. The lights died. And everything turned red. The crash wasn't fire and steel. It was silence. We hit the moon like a feather falling into a dream. The pod hissed against the crimson dust, skidding across a terrain that shimmered like liquid metal and bone. I groaned as the restraints released and gravity slammed down with a heavy, unnatural weight. My breath felt thick. Every movement was slower, denser, like the air didn't want me here. Lyra stirred beside me, her skin pulsing faintly in the dim red glow. She opened her eyes and gripped my wrist. This place bends time, she whispered. We don't have long. The bond is fraying again. I sat up. But we completed it. No, she said. We harmonized, but we didn't anchor. Anchor. She reached toward my chest, fingertips brushing over my heart. There is one part of you you've kept locked. Even from yourself. Until you open it, the bond can't hold. And this moon, this place, it feeds on memory. If it finds your truth before I do, it will use it against us. I looked through the cracked viewport. The red landscape pulsed ripples of light moving across the sand like echoes of old heartbreak. In the distance, jagged black spires rose from the earth like the bones of a fallen god. What happens if it uses it? I asked. Lyra's lips trembled. Then it turns it into a trap, and kills us with it. We stepped out of the pod, hand in hand. The moment our feet touched the surface, the moon responded, whispers stirred in the windless air. Familiar voices. My voice. My brother's voice. Lyra gripped my hand tighter. It's starting. The world shifted. The canyon around us shimmered, reshaped. I stood in my old apartment. Earth. 73 floors above a city I hadn't seen in years. The sun outside the window had that familiar orange haze. The couch had that same threadbare blanket. And my brother, David, sat across from me, smiling like nothing had ever gone wrong. Except it had. Lyra stood beside me, but she was dimmer. Fading slightly. She looked around, confused. This is your anchor, she said. Show me what happened. I can't, I said, voice shaking. You have to, she whispered. Or this memory becomes your grave. David leaned forward. You remember what you did, don't you? He said, his voice warm, too warm. The day I died. You could have stopped me. I stepped back. No. That's not. But the memory twisted. The windows shattered inward. Sirens outside. Smoke. Screaming. David stood, eyes glowing red. You froze. And I burned. No, I choked. Lyra reached out and touched my face. Breathe, she whispered. Tell me what you never said. Tears blurred my eyes. I hated him, I said. Just once. For being the brave one. For running into the fire while I stood back. I hated him for dying before I could say I was proud. The illusion shook. David's form cracked like glass. I stepped forward, breath catching. And I hated myself, I said. For being the one who lived. The room shattered. We were back on the red moon. The dust swirled around us violently now, reacting to the confession like it had been waiting. Lyra collapsed to her knees. "The memory's releasing," she said. "We have to finish it now." I dropped beside her. "What do I do?" She cupped my face with both hands. "Say it. Out loud. To me. Let me carry it." I looked into her eyes, those impossible, starlit eyes. "I wanted to die with him," I whispered. "But I didn't. And now? I think I was meant to live. So I could find you." She kissed me. It wasn't sweet this time. It was everything. Anger. Sadness. Desire. Forgiveness. Her mouth trembled against mine as our memories fused fully, snapping into place like a circuit finally closed. I felt everything she was. She felt everything I'd buried. Light erupted around us. The moon screamed. A pulse of white energy exploded from our bodies, sweeping out across the crimson landscape. The spires cracked and fell. The sky tore open with beams of silver, slicing through the thick atmosphere. Lyra gasped and looked at her wrist device. The screen glowed. Life bond complete. Stabilization. Permanent. Memory locked. Time field dissolving. We held each other as the light faded. The storm around us calmed. The world no longer fought us. "You did it," she whispered. "No," I said. "We did." She leaned into me, resting her head against my shoulder. "Your pain, it made your frequency unlike any I've known," she said softly. "It made you beautiful. I think I'm finally ready to believe that." We climbed the nearest ridge together, watching as our escape pod began to shimmer. The ship had sent retrieval drones. They'd found us. Or rather, they'd felt the signal of our bond. Above us, the sky had cleared. Stars blinked back into view, familiar constellations and new ones I'd never named. She looked at me. "What now?" I asked. Her fingers traced mine. "Now," she said, "we live. We love. We teach others what this bond means. What harmony can heal. And the ones who wanted to use it against us, they'll come again," she said. "But next time, we face them together." As the retrieval beam enveloped us, lifting us into the stars, I realized something. The music of my heartbeat wasn't meant to stay silent. It was meant to be heard by her. By the universe. By the ones who believe that love, even across galaxies, even across species, is the most dangerous and powerful thing that ever existed. And in that moment, I didn't feel like a survivor anymore. I felt like the beginning of something infinite.